We went on a little camping trip over the last couple of days, and almost everything in the van worked just perfectly fine. The only thing that was a little annoying is right up here, the MAXX Airfan. And the problem wasn't that constant rattle while driving. I make a video about that another time. No, it was a squeaking noise while it was running. And I haven't really noticed this problem before. Maybe it was now due to changes in humidity or temperature or whatever. And especially at low speeds, it was a sound that we could not tolerate. Like leaving it on overnight and have a little draft going through the van was impossible. So I need to fix that, and that's what I'm gonna do today. First I need to take the screen out, and this is really easy. Just turn those 4 knobs 180 degrees, and then it comes just right out. And then I need to take the blade out. There's a little set screw right here. Next, I want to take the inner housing off, and there's 4 Phillips head screws. Oh, and there's also a Phillips head screw inside of the knob. This is the cable that goes to the lid to open and close it. And then this one here is 12 volts into it, so this basically powers the whole thing. This one here, this is the one that connects to the motor, and that is the one, this plug I need to remove in order to remove the motor. One cable tie I need to cut. Then we can just unplug it. The next part is a little tricky. This is, I don't know if you can see that, this is where the cable goes to the other side of the housing in order to reach the motor. And there's a little cap on the other side here that you cannot really get to from the inside. I mean, you can get to it, but you don't really see it. So there's 2 more Phillips head screws on the other side here, and they need to be taken out. Only then the plug fits through that hole and you can take out the motor. You can feel those 2 screws and then just get to them with the screwdriver. You have to feel where those screws are, and then just try to remove them, 2 of them, 1 on either side. And then this little piece of plastic can be lifted out of the way. See, this is what it looks like. It kind of caps off that little pass-through for the cable, so this sits on the outside, and then the cable goes through this little indent. And now with this one removed, the plug fits through the hole. Two more cable ties that I need to replace later. And then just 2 bolts, 2 nuts, and I can remove the motor. It's a nut and a washer. Well, and that's the motor removed. Let's go inside now and take it apart, see if there's anything that we can fix. There's this little ring here, not sure what that is called, that needs to be removed. Well, and then I can take out these 2 screws. They have a little rubber washer thing here at the top. And there's a huge magnet in here, so it still holds together by that magnet. Well, and here you have it. There's the outer housing where the permanent magnet sits inside of. Then there's the core. In Germany it's actually called the anchor, and that's what's inside of the Bosch logo, if you ever wondered. And then the bottom cover, this one is the one that sits towards the inside of the van, and it has this little plastic sleeve here that the bottom bearing sits inside of. And then pretty much the same, the top cover also with one of these plastic sleeves and another bearing. And this one is also the one where the brushes are, so this is certainly not a brushless motor, it has those two brushes. And that's pretty much it. I cleaned the whole thing as much as I could, and I couldn't really see anything that would cause that squeaking noise. In fact, the bearings, in my opinion, are the only pieces that could cause that noise, so I'm gonna replace them. These are the original bearings. These are 608Z. And I'm gonna replace them with these ones. These are 608RS. And if you know anything about Audi cars, then you will know that RS is always better. And apparently this is a very common size in rollerblades and roller skates. So there's a ton of bearings available on Amazon in all different grades. And it is my understanding that these ones, the original Z version, while it is also sealed, it is not as well sealed as the RS version. So I think in this application, an RS variant might work better because it has a better seal. The advantage of the Z version, and again, I'm not an expert, this is what I read, the Z version might be better for high-speed applications where there's a lot of heat that needs to get dissipated out of the bearing. The RS version, but even these ones, they are rated for like 28,000 RPMs, and this fan does not run nearly as fast. So I think in my fan application, in the MAXX Airfan application, the RS version that has a better seal might be the better one, and hopefully running a lot quieter. Quick interruption. While editing this video, I actually realized that these are two RS bearings, meaning they have a rubber seal on both sides. RS would be bearings with the rubber seal only on one side, and that is not what I put in here. So let's get it back together. Bearing goes into the sleeve. Sleeve goes in here. Maybe sleeve goes in first. And then bearing goes into sleeve. Top one. The brushes, they have these little, on the plastic housing of the brush, there's this little knob thing that you can kind of, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but if you pull the brush in and then you hook the copper cable that attaches to the brush over this little plastic knob, then it stays away from the commutator. And once you have inserted it, you release that little hook, and then there's a little spring that pushes it against the commutator, and then you can put it back together. And then to attach the housing, it obviously has a little indent here and a little kind of indent here, and this is the one that goes over the cable, obviously. And then this one on the side, that matches a little cutout, oops, right here in the cover. Obviously installing this and putting it back together is a little tricky because, like I said, there's a permanent magnet in here which is attracted to the core over here. So when you put that over here, it tries to snap together. So you have to be a little careful. Oh, by the way, there's also an O-ring in this cover and in the cover on the other side. It didn't come off in my case, but if it does in yours, you have to be careful and you have to reinstall that little O-ring. And then if you put the cover back on, there's also a little notch here in the cover and a matching pin here on the housing, and they need to align. So I put that one over here. And then align those two things. And then, well, I can put screws back in. Also, the screws are somewhat attracted by that magnet, but it's relatively easy to get them back into those holes. I also put this little spring ring here back on, and now it's ready to be reinstalled. Motor drops in from above with the cable going to the passenger side. And then I'll put on those two nuts just loosely, just to make sure the motor isn't dropping while I fiddle with the cables. Okay, now I have to put this little cover back on, and that's even trickier than getting it off because you don't even see where those screw holes are. So you have to rely on your tactile senses. Okay, that's done. And then I can plug it back in. And then add a little cable tie as a strain relief. I can tuck it back in. Of course, I have to put in the knob. And now I can tighten those two bolts, making sure that the motor is pretty much centered. Two more ties around the cable, and that's it. Well, now I can put the fan blade back on and test this whole thing out. Well, I really hope this worked. Let's turn it on. Ooh. Wow. It is super quiet. Let me see with the microphone if you can hear that. This is running at 40% now. There's zero noise now coming from the motor. I mean, I can hear the fan running, I can hear the air moving, but there's no noise from the motor itself. Let's try the lower RPMs. These were the problematic ones before. 10%, zero noise. If I turn it up all the way, well, I can certainly hear the air going through, but no squeaking noise whatsoever. The bearings that I bought weren't very expensive. I think I paid like $12 for a pack of 10. And since these are standard bearings, standard size bearings for skateboards and rollerblades, I think there is no shortage on Amazon. You can find them easily, and they come in all, well, they always come in the same shape, but they come in all different grades and even colors. You can buy yellow ones or red ones, whatever. They are for sure, even the cheaper ones seem to be an upgrade over the ones that were originally installed. So this was a success. My fan runs very, very quiet now. If you want to do the same upgrade, I hope this video helps you out. In any case, that's all I had for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.